Bandidos, my favorite global event is live, Reanimated, and I'm going to give you 2 builds you can use right now. Let's go. Bandidos, here's build number 1, a really fun build to run. Now, if you're not familiar with Reanimated, it's basically sort of like this quasi-zombie mode. And so if you don't kill the enemies with a headshot, they're gonna get back up and try to shoot you in the back. So keep that in mind. And so what you wanna do, obviously, is run headshot-orientated type builds so that they don't get back up and you can eliminate content clearly. And the great news about headshot type builds is that they don't really rely on skills too much. They don't really rely on ammo too much or even armor regen. You can play from cover a lot. And so that means you can turn on lots of directives. And so the idea here is to play quickly and to clear lots of content as fast as possible so you can get red stars. Those red stars act as a currency in which you can buy named item caches and get the best gear in the game, etc., etc. And so for me, when I think of clearing content quickly, I think of my Mantis build. It allows me to clear an entire control point from a single location. So the Mantis is an exotic sniper. It's not new, but it's one of the greatest, especially when it comes down to taking out multiple targets very quickly. So this is giving you tons of headshot damage. The mods are great. We're not going to really go into too much detail there, but we got marksman damage, headshot damage, damage to targets out of cover, and the talent in plain sight that basically gives you 50% more amplified damage when the target is not looking at you. And then headshot kills reset the cooldown of the decoy skill. So that's a big deal, and that's what this build is going to be playing into. So basically, when you get a headshot kill, it's gonna reset the cooldown on your decoy. If your decoy is already deployed, then it's going to basically put a fresh decoy on reserve. So you have 2 decoys back to back, and you can just keep doing that. And so you never ever have a cooldown on your decoy. When your decoy expires, you can instantly throw out another decoy, and that's why the Mantis is very powerful. When your decoy is out, nobody is shooting at you, so you're not being suppressed. And when you're not suppressed, you're eliminating targets. So what you want is infinite decoys and very long durations on that decoy, and that's what this build is doing. So I'm running the sharpshooter specialization. That's giving us faster target acquisition as well as some better stability and more headshot damage. And the reason why we're using TAC 50 is because of Headhunter, and so Headhunter gives us 1,250% damage cap, and so the TAC 50 allows us to skip kills to get to that cap. So Headhunter is what's giving us the capability to one-shot, one kill. Okay, so this build has 5% armor regen on it. Wow, that's really good for a build that's playing from cover. So I have 1 piece Bellstone for that 1% armor regen. We have armor, headshot damage, weapon handling, and protection from elites. I put as many protection from elite mods as I can. So the reason why we're running protection from elites is because we're playing heroic control points, and the majority of those control points are elites. The other thing is we're running max directives, and with those directives comes special ammo. So protection from elites is going to help diminish the status effect damage that's coming from those elite enemies. So it's also a form of hazard protection indirectly. Notice we also have Pistolero, which means that you're going to start off with no ammo, but it's not a big deal with this build. That's one of the benefits of having sharpshooters, that you actually generate ammo when in cover for any of your rifles. So we'll be good there. But either way, you're going to start off the fight by killing somebody with your pistol real quick. And then once you get that ammo, you're not going to have to worry about it again. All right, for the mask, I decided to go with the chill out mask, and that's really for the mods, not for the armor, so you know. So we got armor regen, and then I put double protection from elite mods here. So if you're not going to run the chill out mask because you don't want the extra mod slot, then go ahead and run a Raldi. That's probably your best bet there. For the holster, I'm running the Picara's holster. That's giving us weapon damage, headshot damage, and an armor core. We're not really into the skill haste. That's not why we're running it, because we do have no cooldowns on that decoy thanks to the Mantis. What we're after is that skill tier. Here's our second piece of Brazos, giving us that skill tier, and as you can see, it's all red: weapon damage, headshot damage, and weapon handling. These are the gloves. That's giving us another skill tier, and if you look at the decoy, what does the skill tier do? It gives us more duration, increased threat, and health, but we're really after the duration. And then I'm running the Emperor's Guard knee pads, These are the named item knee pads that come out of the Dark Zone. You could also farm named item caches to get these. I have headshot damage, armor regen, and weapon damage, and skill duration. I am after that skill duration, again, for the decoy, as well as the armor regen. So even though we have infinite decoys, because I'm constantly getting headshots, it is still annoying to have to keep tossing it out. So that's why the duration is helpful. I don't want to stop to toss that thing out. I want to minimize that because I'd rather be out there shooting people. And then lastly, I'm running the backpack, the memento, for many reasons. One is we're not running and gunning. So this is more like kill all the enemies, go pick up your trophies kind of thing. So we're really playing into the long-term buffs here. So we're definitely into the 3 core attributes, especially that extra skill tier. And then we got the weapon damage and armor core. And then I have another protection from elites mod. So I'm going to just go ahead and skip over the short-term buffs because we're not playing into that. But for the long-term buffs, we're getting the 30% weapon damage. And I love that. Yes, I love it way better than vigilance. And the reason why is because this weapon damage, although it's not total weapon damage, it's weapon damage that cannot be taken away from you. So they can shoot you, they can't disable it. It's always there, where vigilance can be disabled. So I rather have a steady, strong 30% weapon damage because I don't need the extra total weapon damage. We're killing everything with a single bullet. Bonus armor, we're not really into that. That's a short-term thing, but we are getting 3% armor regen off of this. So that's 3% of the 5%. So we're getting 1% from Bellstone, we're getting 1% from the Murakamis, and we got 3% coming off the backpack. So that's 5% armor regen, and we do have a minor armor regen stat coming off the mask. So it's a little bit more. The skill tier, we're getting 30% skill efficiency. That's huge. What is skill efficiency? Skill haste. What is skill efficiency? Skill duration, and much more. So if you're wondering what the other skill is, I'm running the tactician drone. We don't need the healer. So that's why I decided to go with the tactician. And what's really cool about the tactician is that it basically gives the targets a pulse. And we're running all the directives, and so we don't have a mini map. So we can't see if enemies are behind us or in front of us. And so this might be one of the best builds for all directives. 1, you don't have to get out of cover. So that special ammo is less of an issue. 2, you're running the tactician drone. So even though you don't have a mini map, you know where all the enemies are. They're highlighted. 3, even though we have cool skills on, we have infinite decoys, so we don't care. And we have pistolero, which means we don't have a ton of ammo, but we're constantly regenerating ammo while in cover, as well as these weapons are one-shot, one-kill weapons, and so they don't require much ammo at all. So as far as headshot damage, we got 225% headshot damage for this weapon, and we're showing 35,000 armor regen. That's without the memento, so keep that in mind. It's basically gonna double. And for total armor, we're at 1.5 million armor. That little thing is kind of annoying, the little icon right in your... Big boss. Boss down. Invincible. Solo legendary. Try the game over build. I think that's a great one for people to... It depends. Like if we're gonna do DPS, like almost all of... Okay, let's take a look at the other build. Okay, here's the second build, and I've released a version of this before, and it's absolutely amazing. But so you know, this isn't a 5 directive build. This is a 4 directive build, and that's because we really are utilizing our skills. So you want to take off cool skills, okay? Mostly for the riot foam, because we do pop our shield because we get ourselves into some very dangerous situations. So as you can see, this is a max armor, 1 shot, 1 kill build. And if you're wondering, yes, this actually works in regular heroic content without the global event. And I have a video already on this build showcasing that. link below. So we're using sharpshooter, of course, but this is mostly a pistol build. Now for me, I'm using the Regulus, but you don't have to. This isn't a Regulus build, okay? This is just my favorite pistol for this build, and it's for the mass effect. So the talent Regicide doesn't give you additional damage. It gives you collateral damage when you blow up that head, which makes the other headshots a little bit easier. It's collateral damage, it's not additional damage. So, and we also have headshot damage on the weapon instead of damage to targets out of cover. So we're at a loss there. So we got 500,000 damage on this. If you don't have this weapon, I recommend using the Liberty. So the Liberty is a great weapon in comparison. So although the Liberty looks weaker from that total damage, it makes up some of that from the damage to targets out of cover, which is a multiplicative damage that's going to be a nice addition to the damage numbers you're throwing out there, as well as it's got a larger mag and a higher RPM. And it's also going to buff your shield. You don't really need the buff. It's a tier 6 shield. Look at all of those cores there buffing that shield. So that's over 13 million shield, and that's before the memento buffs. Very hard to break the shield. We're using 4 pieces of tip of spear. That's important. So signature weapon damage, and aggressive recon. Dealing damage with signature weapon increases total weapon damage by 20% for 60 seconds, and then automatically generates ammo every 60 seconds. So basically you need to use your special weapon once a minute. But the truth is that once you're proc Headhunter, you don't really need tip of spear anymore. So it's only like when you lose Headhunter or something like that to go ahead and proc tip of spear. So I got armor, headshot damage, and more headshot damage here. No surprises. Let's take a look at the gloves. Basically the same thing. So we're armored out, headshot damage out everywhere. And then armor and more headshot damage. And then the chest piece, of course, is chain killer for weapon damage. And that's because we are proccing some damage with the TAC 50. Perfect Headhunter is getting 1,250% damage cap, which is huge as long as we're at 150% headshot damage. And if we take a look at the pistol, we're at 210. If you look at the special weapon, we're at 300% headshot damage, which is plenty. So very strong. So remember, your damage is based off of really the tip of spear, TAC 50, Headhunter combination, and that's transferring over to your pistol, and that's why you can one shot one kill everything with 6 blue cores. And for the backpack, I am running the memento, and you'll see why. The biggest thing we're playing into here is the short-term buff. So the 3% armor regen is nice, the 30% weapon damage they can't take away is nice, the skill efficiency is nice for the shield, and the riot foam, which you'll see we're using all the time, but it's about the bonus armor. So it allows us to drop our shield and move faster or take damage in the back. So we get 10% bonus armor for every blue core we have on the build. And we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 60% armor from a single trophy. And so 60% of 1.9 million armor is just under 1.2 million in bonus armor. That's crazy. That's one trophy. And we're stacking those trophies. Why? Because we're chain killing at close range with our pistol. This is a really cool build. You gotta have this one. And so we got the strong bulwark and of course the riot foam. This has got 3 in the can. We're gonna have the 30% skill efficiency boosting that. Check out the gameplay. Hey Bandidos, check out the new trailer and features revealed for the Division Resurgence mobile game.
Follow me.